Hey guys, Matt from Foul Ball Productions here. Thank you so much for joining me. This is chapter 2 of the Mandalorian review. The hot show, the big Star Wars game in town, the thing everyone can't stop talking about. The question is, do I give a shit? And I don't know. I'm still not sure. So I'm going to go through every single episode, give you a tight little review. And then we can break into the new season and see if Disney Star Wars has any life left in it. I feel I'm much of the Gary from Nerdrotic school of thought that I don't care. I really don't care. I don't know if it's true, but it does seem to be the most insular way for me to protect myself from the tyranny of Disney Star Wars, which is just destroyed one of the things I love more than anything. I will say, put the final nails in the coffin, whereas I thought it was kind of on life support after the prequels. I'm not a fan, really. I wish I was. I really wish I was, because there's 3 of them, and they're long, and if I liked them, that'd be fun. That'd be, a bunch more hours of Star Wars I could enjoy, but I just find them to be pretty bad, pretty tacky and childish. But look, compared to the sequels, they're Shakespeare. So before I get into this, guys, got to ask you to be a Jedi Master and use the Force to click that like button. Click it hard. Click it hard. And you can level up. And if you guys are interested in all the good content that we're pumping out here at Foul Ball Productions, and by we, I mean me, please subscribe. If you have not yet, subscribe to the channel. Every time I get a new subscriber, it makes my day. I'm very grateful to have every single one of you here. It means a lot. I love that you like to listen to me, and I like talking. So it's a perfect relationship. So thank you guys so much. Please do those very kind things. Here we go. Chapter 2. The child. Okay, so the first time I saw this, I thought it was kind of like a side quest episode where it doesn't really have any kind of an impact on the story. And I'm going to get to that a little later. But I did notice this time around, knowing that I had multiple episodes ahead of me, it didn't bother me quite as much. I noticed when I watched it the first time, the runtime was less. It was like 30 minutes to 40 or something, whatever, which is significantly chopped down. And it was a weekly release. So I didn't have the luxury of just having the next episode ready to go. So I think that impacted how I felt about it. Could be. So there was a really cool moment in the beginning that I thought was very intelligent filmmaking. When Mando's walking back with Baby Yoda through some canyon, and then he kind of looks around, and you think maybe you see people jumping in the crevice above him. He turns around, and on the back of his helmet, you can see the reflection of people jumping over the top of his head, which I thought was really cool because the moment was tense, and you as an audience member are kind of looking around for any details, and they see just a faint one in the helmet, which I was like, ooh, that was clever. That was clever. And so then he has a little badass fight with I guess a bunch of other bounty hunters that are here to get Baby Yoda, because it looks like the Empire guy maybe sent out a whole bunch of bounty hunters to find Baby Yoda, because he didn't, he just wants to get it done. He doesn't care who does it. So then Mando obviously handily takes care of all the guys. The one thing that I thought was really cool was that his rifle dematerializes one of the guys. He just hits him, and poof, they just bursts into a poof of dust, which I thought was cool. And that's something else that I really like about the gun, that as the show progresses, it kind of has multifaceted abilities, like the dread gun, the dread pistol that can do flares and explosives and automatic. It started to feel like the Mando gun kind of has that too, which I was like, that's pretty cool and versatile. The potential that it becomes a Deus Ex Machina type device, I think, gets higher and higher as when the jams get more and more complicated. But so far, I mean, it's just cool that it has these different abilities that you can disintegrate, and you can shock, and you can do different things with it. It's that's cool. That's fun. After the fight, I know it's designed to have this effect, but I gotta be honest, Baby Yoda trying to heal Mando was adorable. It was really cute. It was really sweet. They characterized that puppet pretty well, and I'm pretty sure it is a puppet. They do a lot of practical effects on this show, as I understand it, and I really appreciate that they do that. And I know it was designed to be a cutesy moment, but it got me. I thought it was cute, little baby Yoda just reaching out to. It's like, oh, baby Yoda. Oh, and so this was something else too that I think is worth noting. And I got this. I think I got this insight from Lord Doomcock over at Overlord DVD. But Jawas. Are there no indigenous life forms in this galaxy? Like, does everyone multi-planet? The Jawas do not seem like they're an interstellar type of people. They seem like scavengers who basically exist on Tatooine and like an isolated type of existence. So here they are in another desert-like planet. I mean, it stands to reason that similar species could evolve in similar climates, maybe, but it's a bit much. And it's like, it is starting to teeter on like, too like an overload of fan service. Like, hey, remember this from Star Wars? Remember this from Star Wars? Remember this? It's like, and the other thing too is they didn't change them at all. They gave them that tank thing. And I remember reading this in a book about like all these Star Wars equipment and stuff, which the original trilogy itself kind of contradicted at times, but it was really thorough. The tank thing was leftover tech from some old war that happened on Tatooine that the Jawas scavenged, because that's what they do. They scavenge. So the idea that Jawas in another planet, let's just say they are interstellar, would also have the same sand crawler tank. It's like 1,000,000,000 to 1. It wouldn't happen unless for some reason Jawas are so well adapted to this particular mode of transport. But as Star Wars has proven, there's lots of modes of transport. So it just screams fan service. It just screams, remember Jawas? Jawas with the tank thing and desert. Ooh, wow. So, and so, and then so the Jawas are dismantling Mando's ship, and he takes chase after them. He goes right after them, right? And there's like this big kind of to do, and then like he's trying to scale the tank, and then they show Baby Yoda like in tow, which I was like, is Baby Yoda driving that thing? Is it attached to like Mando, like, and it has to stay in his orbit or something? Like, it looked like Baby Yoda was doing like Mario Kart, like behind the tank. It was so like, I was like, okay, that feels tacked on, because it's like Baby Yoda has to stick around, but he can't be in danger because it's a baby. But it's like the too much distance will have been spanned by the time. It's like, so they just had to have him like just kind of tail along behind. It's like, okay, it just stuck out as weird to me. So then Mando goes back to that guy, the Nick Nolte guy, the I Have Spoken guy. And while they're talking and figuring out that they have to go negotiate with the Jawas, Baby Yoda just straight up eats a frog whole while it's alive. Doesn't even chew it. It's a little savage, man. That's a little monstrous. Like, imagine if you're just hanging out with your buddy and he just like picks up a frog and just eats it whole. Like, and then we're just all supposed to act like everything's normal. It's a little wild, man. I was like, fuck. I thought that was intense for Baby Yoda to just eat a frog whole. And the show's like, Baby Yoda, no, you're not supposed to do that. It's like, okay, that was weird. And so Mando goes to negotiate with the Jawas to get all his stuff for the ship back, which is like, okay. And he doesn't want to trade for anything. He doesn't really have anything to trade. The only thing they really want is Baby Yoda or this egg. So the side quest begins. He's got to go to this cave and get the egg.
I set off to find the egg of Mantumbi, a sapphire as big as a schoolboy's head.
No, not that egg. A whole other egg. It's this egg of this big rhinoceros, this hairy, mushy, wet rhinoceros type creature that I guess has a baby in a cave, and he's got to go steal it from this creature, right? And so he starts fighting him. My first thought is, why the fuck is Baby Yoda here? Why would you bring Baby Yoda to go fight a monster? You would definitely say, stay with the I Have Spoken guy. There's no reason to bring him whatsoever. Obviously, it comes in handy, but that's a contrivance because there's no reason you would bring a baby to go fight a monster. He's much safer with, like, even if the Jawas are not trustworthy, the other guy is. And if you're just so committed to keeping this baby, it's a pretty big risk to bring it to a monster. What if you die? What happens to the baby? I don't know. It just seemed weird. I understand, like, okay, you could kind of argue that he had no choice, but personally, I think it was stupid. Then and then the other thing too is just like another monster fight. Like these random monsters, it's just like, wow, like how does anyone live on these planets? Like if you could just if I was just going from like Sherman Oaks to Hollywood and like maybe I might get eaten by a giant tentacle monster, like it would probably make life hard to live. But in the Star Wars universe, apparently there's just giant monsters everywhere. I mean, it made sense in places like Tatooine, like off in the middle of nowhere where the Sarlacc pit was, or like the Rancor, like, you know, kept in a thing, or like the asteroid worm thing in Empire. Like those all made sense because they like existed in like little side like pockets of the universe. But in this like show so far, they're just kind of everywhere. It's like, it seems like a tough way to live. I digress. So the monster fight starts and he goes into the cave and he's got this like high-tech helmet on, right? And he's got to put on a flashlight. It's like, really? That high-tech helmet doesn't have any infrared or night vision, or like he's got to put on an old like flashlight. It seems like if you can never take that off, it might be helpful to have multiple modes of vision. I don't know. Seems a little strange to me. Maybe it's a nitpick, but I was like, really? And of course, they used it for the moment where he's panning the flashlight and then the eye like pops open. Oh, it's a monster. Okay. So he's got to have the monster fight and he's getting his ass kicked. And then Baby Yoda, like right when he's about to get killed, the giant rhinoceros thing is charging him. Baby Yoda puts out his hand, does a force stop, and like brings the thing in air. And like he's like, "What the hell's going on?" He's like looking at Baby Yoda, he can't figure it out. Then Baby Yoda passes out, and the monster thing falls. And then Mando just takes his knife and sticks it in the thing's neck, and it drops dead like instantly. I don't even think that would happen if you did that with a human being, let alone like a giant monster. If you're fighting a tiger and you have a blade, even a big blade, you just stick it in the thing's neck, it's not just gonna drop dead. Like it might reel back in pain, it might run, but it's not like an insta kill. Like, would you sever its spinal cord? How the hell did that happen? And it was like, this thing is like, imagine like an elephant, a huge elephant with like the speed of a tiger. Is like, really? So you just one little blade is done. It wasn't like a lightsaber blade, it wasn't like a blaster in the right spot. He just stabbed it in the neck. It was like, that's how that ends. Okay, pretty tidy, I guess. And so then he goes back to, you know, the Jawa camp and he's got the egg and the Jawas like chop it open and just eat the yolk like that, like with no like ceremony or fanfare, which I thought was like, okay, I get we're trying to point out that it's like a savage thing that they're doing, but still it just seemed weird that they like are spilling it. Like if you could never have this delicacy and it's so important to you, like why wouldn't you have like a moment where like it's served to everybody or like the king gets it or whatever? Not that it's a big deal, but it was just kind of like, it's sort of like making Finn like a janitor and you're like, ha ha ha, but then it just creates so many more issues about like what is this culture and like who is this person? Like it's like that's like the thing with the Jawas, like you're just like, okay, but like who are they? Why would they do that? Like what are their values? Like, are they just like primordial where they don't think anything through? But they clearly have a sophisticated system of trade and stuff. So you just kind of like had like a short moment that kind of like deconstructed the entire society of Jawas. I digress. It proved to be a complete side quest. The whole episode's a complete side quest because he gets all the parts. Him and the other guy install them in a montage that's like 45 seconds long. And then boom, everything's fine. Didn't need to go into a city to like repair his ship. Him and this other guy with like a few tools managed to just figure out like fix an interstellar space cruiser like literally overnight. The last time we saw it was like stripped down to the bolts. Really, like this is like if it was just like a few of these things, it wouldn't matter. But it's like that proves to me that this whole episode is just a side quest to pad the runtime. You didn't need this. Like nothing came out of it except that, okay, Yoda's got force powers. That's it. You could have executed that while telling the story as well. But like you took an entire episode essentially to point out that Yoda's got force powers. Nothing else of value comes out of this. It's not like the ship is like permanently damaged or has some upgrades or loses some abilities. It's just like, no, it's just over now. We just got it back. And he had like the friendship with the I Have Spoken guy, but that's, I mean, literally that's the only thing that was accomplished in the whole episode. That's a side quest. That's like when you're playing a video game and it's like, oh, go kill this chicken monster over here and then come back. It's like, yeah, but your dad is still kidnapped by bandits. So me killing that chicken or not killing that chicken has no effect on the overall story. It's just like this thing. It's like, this didn't matter. It's like a video game side quest, just padding the runtime, which is like boo. And it is especially boo if you watch this when it was all a first run and you're waiting a week for the next episode and you already waited a week for this episode. It's like, oh, this is a meaningless episode. So I could have just skipped this one. I don't know. This is, I think, where we really start to find the problems with Mandalorian season 1. This is like where it starts to like, I don't know if it's conflicting like interests that kind of make this sort of weird patchwork show, or if they really didn't have a plan, which, hey, knowing Star Wars, Disney Star Wars, it wouldn't shock me. But it doesn't. I think already like the bolts are kind of getting loose on this, like what seemed like a pretty tight ship right out the gate. So that's episode 2, guys. Please like the video, subscribe, check out the other stuff on the channel. It's all good stuff. It's all fun. I don't know what I'm saying. I love you guys. Thank you so much for checking me out. Stay tuned. Got more coming. Pew, 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 pew. Later, guys.